Wherever I go, people ask me all the time, what is the secret to success? I actually always had 5 rules. And those 5 rules helped me to become successful in various different areas. And I believe that those rules can be applied to almost anyone and everyone. You don't need to be a bodybuilding champion, you don't need to want to be a governor of California or to be an action hero or anything like that. If you want to excel in whatever you do, those rules are for you. It's that simple. So my first rule is find your vision and follow it. You see, I think it's the most important thing that we have a very clear vision of where we go, because you can have the best ship in the world. You can have the best cruise liner, but if the captain does not know where to go, that ship will drift around the world and out there at sea and will never end up anywhere. And this is exactly the way it is in real life. If you don't have a goal, if you don't have a vision, you just drift around. You're not going to be happy. Now, I created that vision in Austria because I grew up after the Second World War. Austria, right along with Germany, lost the Second World War. Everyone was so depressed because they lost the war that there was alcoholism everywhere. There was, of course, depression. There was a terrible economic situation. There was famine. There was starvation and all of those things. And also it was kind of a little place and narrow. I wanted to get out of there. I wanted to escape. And luckily, one day in school, I watched a documentary about America. I knew exactly that is where I wanted to end up. I could not wait to get there. The question was just, how do I get there? I mean, this was not a common thing to do way back in the 50s. No one had the money to travel or anything. But one day, I was fortunate enough to see a magazine. And that magazine showed me the path to America. And it was a bodybuilding magazine. And on the cover was this very muscular guy. His name was Reg Park. And I remember the cover said, Mr. Universe becomes Hercules star. I read the article as fast as I could. And as I read, I became more and more certain about my own future. That I knew exactly that I wanted to become another Reg Park. I could see myself, I could visualize myself clearly to be a champion on that same stage where he won the Mr. Universe, and then to move to America, then get into movies, and then become rich and famous. I had that vision very clearly laid out. From that moment on, everything that I did, no matter how hard I had to work or how much I had to struggle, it didn't matter. It was a wonderful joyride because I knew what the purpose was, and I found my passion. I remember in the pumping iron days, I could not wait to lift another 500 pounds in the squats. I could not wait to do another 1,000 sit-ups. I could not wait to do bench press, more bench press and more curls until I couldn't move my arms anymore. Because I knew that every rep got me closer to standing on that stage as a champion. As a matter of fact, when I lifted weights, I didn't really feel like I was lifting weights. I felt like I was lifting a trophy over my head each time I lifted. Always discover your vision, and the rest will follow. My second rule is never ever think small. If you're going to accomplish anything, you have to think big. You have to go and shoot for the stars. The biggest challenge most people have is because they think small. And the reason why people think small and why they choose small little goals is because they're afraid to fail. They know that if you shoot for a big goal, then the chances of failing are very high. And they're afraid of failing. It's one of the most common things why people are frozen and why they can't make a move in life, because they're scared of failing. I say to myself, hey, I'm not worried about failing because that's part of life. You're not going to go and win everything. And how far can you fall? Look at this. This is the ground. That's as far as I can fall. And you know something? That the only time you really consider the failure is if you fall and you don't get up. But if you get up, you never consider the failure. So I never considered myself a failure. I always considered myself a winner, even though I fell every so often. But I always got up. I never had any patience, of course, for thinking small, because in German we have a saying, wenn schon, denn schon. And that means that if you do something, then go all out and do it well. And this was not just the case in bodybuilding. I didn't just want to be a bodybuilding champion. I wanted to be the greatest bodybuilder of all times. I just wanted to be the best. And the same is also in movies. I didn't just think about being in movies. No, I wanted to be a movie star. I basically wanted to be another John Wayne. What's wrong with that? So remember, never think small, think big. My third rule is ignore the naysayers. I think it is natural that when you have a big vision and big dreams and you have big goals, that people are going to say around you, I don't think it can be done. I think it's impossible, or no. I tell you, I heard this all the time, but I want to tell you, don't ever let them stop you from dreaming and from shooting for the big goal. I am a big believer of what Nelson Mandela said. It always seems to be impossible, and still someone does it. Just think about how many times my career would have stopped. My career would have ended if I would have listened to the naysayers. Right off the top, when I said, I want to be a world champion in bodybuilding, I want to be Mr. Universe, they immediately said, are you crazy? You're in Austria. Bodybuilding is an American sport. Forget about it. It's nuts. Then when I wanted to move to America, they said again, it's impossible. You will never be able to do that. You have no money. You're all by yourself. And then when I wanted to go into show business, their reaction was, oh, Arnold, that is so funny. You want to be what, a leading man? Oh, come on. Everywhere I turned, they said, no, it won't happen, it's not going to happen, and forget about it. Luckily, I did not listen. I did not listen because I knew if I worked hard enough and if I worked as hard as I did in bodybuilding, 5-6 hours a day, that I will make it, that I could prove them wrong. And you know what was so interesting about it was that as soon as we were finished with the Conan movie, the director said at the press conference, the director is John Milius, he said, if we wouldn't have had Schwarzenegger with those muscles, we would have had to build one. Now what a turnaround. And then when I did Terminator, James Cameron said, I'll be back line became one of the most famous movie lines in history because of Arnold's crazy accent, because he sounded like a machine when he talks. So as you see, everything that the naysayers said was a liability became an asset. And the same was also in my political career. When I ran for governor, they immediately said, I shouldn't do it, it is a big mistake, it won't happen, I will lose, and all of those kind of things. And the rest, of course, is history. The bottom line is, if I would have listened to the naysayers, my career would have ended when I was 15 years old. I would be still yodeling in Austria, in the Alps, and I would not be talking here today to you. So I just recommend to you very strongly, ignore the naysayers. My fourth rule is, work your ass off. Nobody ever stumbled upon success by accident. I always believed no stone unturned. No matter what you do, work, work, work. I remember Muhammad Ali, one of my great heroes, had a great line in the 70s when he was asked, how many sit-ups do you do? He said, I don't know, because I start counting only when it starts burning. You see, that's what makes you a champion. It doesn't matter in what area you're in. No pain, no gain. If you don't apply that rule, all the other rules won't mean anything. I mean, it drives me absolutely nuts when people say, I don't have time to work out, or I cannot read another book, or I cannot improve myself, or I don't have time, or I work so hard that I cannot really improve my business, or any of those things. What the hell are we talking about here? I mean, the day is 24 hours, you sleep 6 hours, so you have 18 hours left. I mean, I know there's some of you out there that say, well, wait a minute, I sleep actually 8 hours, but let's just sleep faster, okay? Listen, when I came to the United States, I remember that I trained 5 hours a day, every day, and I was managing a construction business, and I was a bricklayer, and I went to college also, and I took acting classes from 8 o'clock at night to 12 o'clock midnight. All of that in one day. Every day I did that. I knew that I had 24 hours and I didn't want to waste one single hour. Just remember, you can't climb that ladder of success with your hands in your pockets. And my fifth and last rule is, don't just take, give something back. I believe that we all have an obligation to do something for our community, something for our state, something for our country. We must serve a cause that is greater than ourselves. Because we all know that in the end we will be judged not by how much we made, but by how much we give. Tear down that mirror that makes you always look at yourself, and you will be able to look beyond that mirror and you will see the millions and millions of people that need your help. And I saw those millions and millions of people. And this is why I tried to take every opportunity that I could to give something back. And every single time I reached out and I gave something back, I felt fantastic. Nothing made me happier. I would rather play chess with an 8-year-old kid in an after-school program or play golf, a round of golf with a special Olympian than go down another red carpet of a movie premiere. And I have nothing against movies, but to give something back to me is more important than just to think about myself. We don't have to just work on me. We should also work on we. Remember that. To lead a truly full life, you must give back. You must leave the world a better place than you found it. I guarantee you that if you follow all of those rules, you will have many victories to celebrate. So I want you to remember those rules. Have a vision. Think big. Ignore the naysayers. Work your ass off and give back and change the world. Because if not us, who? If not now, when?